This right here is a really tricky problem because most of our classes haven't gotten to this type of thing yet, but it is something that we will see on the EOC. Pay close attention, make sure that if you have any questions that you pause, rewind, or respond to the video. The first thing that we need to do before doing anything else, this goes back to factoring. You can cancel out anything that you're multiplying, so you can cancel out the factors. But because of this negative sign here, we cannot just cancel out these 14s. It doesn't work that way. What we can do is we can try to factor something out of the top, and hopefully it'll cross out with what we have down here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. On the top, the first thing I look for every time I factor is a GCF. The GCF I see on the top is 7, but that's not the only GCF. It's not just a number, we're looking at the variables as well. So they also have a C in common. The smallest exponent out of both of these C's are 2, so it's going to be C squared. They also have a D in common, where the smallest exponent is 2. So that's the GCF of the top. So we put that on the outside of a set of parentheses, and in order to get what's on the inside of the parentheses, we divide each term by our GCF. So 14 divided by 7 is going to be 2. C cubed divided by C squared, that's going to leave me with a C left over. And D squared divided by D squared is 1. We just go ahead and move on. We can't write anything down for that. Minus 21 divided by 7 is 3. C squared divided by C squared is just 1. And D cubed divided by D squared is just D. So the top is completely factored. I'm going to put that back over the bottom, which is 14CD squared. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel these out just like a fraction. You see how I'm multiplying this whole thing by the parentheses? I can now cancel this out with whatever's on the bottom. So I know out of 7 and 14, 7 can go into both of those. So they would cross out. This 7 would turn into a 1, and this 14 will turn into a 2. Out of these two, the C's will cross out, so I will be left with no C's here, and this will just be C to the first power. And we have a D squared on the top and a D squared on the bottom. If we divide those, we get 1. Nothing's going to be left over, so we cross those out completely. So let me go ahead and rewrite that. I have 1C on the top. That's the same thing as just writing C, times 2C minus 3D. And if you look at the denominator, the whole thing is over 2 because everything cancels out. Now, according to most math teachers, including myself, this would be the final answer. But on the EOC, when it comes to problems like this, you're going to have multiple choice. So looking at multiple choice, there's really nothing that looks like what we have here. So notice here, one of the things that they have is parentheses. We do not have parentheses here. So in order to get this answer to look like one of these answers, let's go ahead and distribute that C. I'm going to go ahead and finish writing the problem down here. That is going to be 2C squared minus 3CD all over 2. Now, you notice how every problem, or every answer that's given to us is broken up. There's not one big fraction bar like this. There's a subtraction sign between each one. We're going to have to break it up. We can break these two up into a fraction, and these two up into a fraction. So this is the same thing as 2C squared over 2 minus 3CD over 2. So it's starting to look a little bit more like the answer choices we have here. So I'm looking at what I have so far here, and I want to see if there's anything that cancels out so it looks more like my final answer. So I see these two 2's cancel out. I don't see anything else that could cancel out over there. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that off. Write C squared minus 3CD over 2. So looking at my final answers, it looks like A is the best answer. It's the answer that fits. So remember, just because it may seem like you're done, You may have to use the rules to manipulate and change your answer so it looks like what's given to you.